Broadcasting live from the Capitol OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Racing Across America is sponsored by Sakatoga Stable, home of Funny Side and Tis the Law. Be part of Sakatoga's next great story with ownership opportunities now available in our yearlings. Get on the bus at sakatoga.com. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. I am Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. We'll do a little recap as we normally do on a Sunday morning of some of the stakes action yesterday. Nice stakes action. It was a fun day around the various venues we were watching yesterday afternoon. Hopefully you had a good day. There were certainly some opportunities out there. And a little bit later on, our NFL preview, our weekly Sunday NFL preview with our man Anthony Propst in league lockdown. So stay tuned for that as well, coming up towards the end of the program. Couple of notes. This Wednesday, Aqueduct will be in action. They had a couple of cancellations a little bit earlier recently with weather issues. One of those cancellations will be made up on Wednesday. Wednesday post time is going to be 12:10. So keep that in mind. There is action in New York this Wednesday, kicking off at 12:10. The other cancellation is going to be made up with extra races tossed in on certain days. But there will be a day that wasn't normally scheduled coming up this Wednesday. And I mentioned it yesterday. If you weren't watching yesterday, I'll just toss it out again. It's that time of year with daylight savings. If they run a number of races, they go a little earlier. So there are various post times, and just be aware of that. Some days it's going to be 12:10. That they sent out, a list of the dates, November and December. So some days 12:10, some days 11:40, some days 12:40. There'll be a Saturday, December 6th. It'll be 11:20 because they squeeze in 11 races that day. But it bounces around a little bit. And just be aware of that so you don't get caught. Hey, I'd love to play the early pick 5, and you tune in, and it's race 3 already. But if you go to their website, obviously you print up the PPs, the post times are right there, but just double check. But if you go to their website as well, the NYRA website, click on the calendar. The post time for every racing day is right on the calendar as well, so you can always check that also. Want to alert you that there will be a syndicate next Saturday, late pick 5 at Aqueduct. You can jump in for $25. 20 people are on the team. That adds up to $500. Capital OTB tosses in another $250. So for a modest amount of money, you get in on kind of a whale-sized ticket, and everybody gets to put in their selections, and then a consensus ticket is put together for the syndicate. But I bring it up because the syndicate is now open. Go to capitalotb.com, click on the promotions link, and then look for that graphic right there. Click on that, and the entry form will come up. If you'd like to play along with us in the syndicate, fill out the entry form for your chance to be on next Saturday's syndicate team. All right, let's get into it. I mentioned great stakes action yesterday, but there were a couple of nice stakes down at Aqueduct on Friday as well. So I thought we'd start out and go back and take a look at those. The Central Park was for 2-year-olds going 1 1/16 on the grass. I liked Atfield. Atfield had a good story behind the horse. Tom Morley, trainee by Vekoma, won in the first start of the career up at Saratoga, living up to that Vekoma breeding. Noble Dynasty was the favorite for Bill Mott. I had Atfield over Noble Dynasty. The betting public was a little more enamored with Noble Dynasty, however. I thought they were pretty equal in it, 9-5 versus 7-2. I was perfectly happy to be on Atfield. We'll see here, Atfield, number 1, does get it done. The late run over number 3, Noble Destiny. Honey Dutch, the second choice in the wagering. The 5 runs third. But again, you can see the 5 is out there. And Atfield makes a nice late run to go by. And coming up on the outside, just a little too late, was Noble Dynasty, the favorite. But again, it's at field. Ricardo Santana on board for Tom Morley. And as I say, there was a nice story there in that the Morley barn, there was an assistant, John Atfield, that passed away last year. So the horse, the connections named the horse after the late assistant. And so the debut went up at Saratoga. There was a lot of emotion in the winner's circle, understandably. And I had Tom Morley on shortly after that on the morning. We talked a little bit about it then as well. But again, to get the debut win with a horse paying tribute to the former barn employee, it was a nice way to kick things off for the career. Followed it up trying the Grade 3 Futurity and ran third in there. Those were both turf sprints. Yesterday was the first time around 2 turns. And the Dave Grenig follow-up article in the Racing Forum quoted Morley as saying, I wasn't sure he would get the distance, but he did, and it was a pretty nice performance as well. Again, going back to Friday. Came out of this one, and Tom Morley said maybe the Heft down at Laurel, which is run at the end of December, or we'll come back in the Jerome, which is first week of January at Aqueduct. So Atfield, nice win on Friday, and coming out of a couple of nice stakes tries after the debut Maiden Breaker, looks to have a nice future, and it will play out sooner rather than later with a couple of nice stakes, potentially one or the other on the menu going forward. Also on Friday, 2-year-old fillies going 6 furlongs on the grass in the Stewart Manor. I had the 12 on top, Catalonia, who did not offer a whole lot up in there as a price. I thought the horse was a little bit interesting from Jose D'Angelo, but Catalonia wound up 9th in the field of 11. So my top pick, a little bit disappointing, but I did have the right idea going for a price because it was the number 2 Map of the Moon getting it done at 10-1 in here. Map of the Moon, number 2 horse, number 11 Believe in Magic runs second, and number 4 Beach Heist runs third. So 10-1 over 9-1 over 9-2. You got a little bit of value there if you were playing around. The favorite was Should Have, the number 1 horse, at 2-1, and that one winds up a little bit fading, disappointing, 8th in there, and really fading in the stretch. But it was Map of the Moon getting it done. Kelsey Danner came in and got it done. The Dave Grenig follow-up article in here mentioned Kelsey Danner as she has invaded New York over the past, I forgot how long it was, a couple of weeks, month or whatever, has been a little bit successful, and went on to name some stakes runners that maybe, so look up the Grenig article, maybe coming to New York in the next couple of weeks as well. And again, might be worth paying attention to. Map of the Moon was coming out of a maiden debut victory at Keeneland. The number was, a little bit light as compared to some others, hence I think that 10-1 price, but it was only the first start, and you always get room for improvement. I didn't see the number on this one so far. I was out looking this morning, but I didn't see a number on Map of the Moon yet. It may be floating around out there, but you would have to think it was an improvement, and that's always possible. Start 1 to start 2. You often see the biggest buyer improvement there. But again, if you looked and you saw a decent little win and you were kind of on the train or a little bit, hey, you wound up with a nice $23.74 again on Friday. A couple of nice turf stakes down in New York. Yesterday, more nice stakes action, a lot of stakes action yesterday in New York, and there were some results that certainly are worth paying a little bit of attention to. And we're going to start out looking at one that clearly is worth paying attention to. The Dwyer 3-year-olds going the 1-turn mile, scratched down to only a field of 4 from original field of 6, but the main players kind of stayed in there. I like Stars and Stripes, the Bill Mott horse, coming out of a couple of wins up at Saratoga. The betting public made that one the second choice at 9-5. At 6-5, it was Disco Time as the favorite for Brad Cox. I had those two. I had Stars and Stripes over Disco Time. And I said yesterday, Disco Time was coming in off a 101 Beyer victory in the St. Louis Derby. And I was a little bit leery because it was run at Fairmount. Do I buy into the number? Normally, this is the kind I would think came back off a long layoff. They had a little bit of a ding early in the season. And so this was a horse that had shown plenty of promise. This horse is now undefeated, Brad Cox and Juddmonte, but a little ding. So they missed, the major 3-year-old events, obviously. They come back to win the St. Louis Derby with a much improved number. And usually I like that, the little gap, and they come back and show improvement. But again, I wasn't quite sure what to make the number at Fairmount. So I had the horse right underneath. But I said, could go either way. Well, now I am buying that St. Louis Derby number. We'll see here. Disco Time looked really good yesterday. I don't know if you see it here. I think it was before this. Florent Giro took a look back yeah, there he is, almost in disdain. All right, where are they? Where are they? And they were plenty of lengths back. The chart margin winds up to be just under 9 lengths. And you can see it just kind of galloping through the wire for a 107 Beyer. And again, Disco Time, 4 for 4 for Brad and Juddmonte. Obviously, potent connections there. And it run well earlier in the career. It won the Lecomte. A couple of starts, Maiden Breaker, then a non-winners who won, then the Lecomte. But then again, gets a ding. So there was already plenty of promise. And now, since the comeback, 2 for 2, the St. Louis Derby and the Dwyer, and that looked pretty darn good yesterday, and the number backed it up. So Florent Giro in the winner's circle was talking about potentially the Saudi Cup. I don't know if the connections, but given what the connections normally do and the kinds of things they look at, I don't think it would be out of the question. Saudi Cup comes up middle of February, $20 million up for grabs. It's a 1-turn mile and an eighth, so we'll see. But regardless of where next, Disco Time is certainly one we'll keep our eyes on going forward. I would think there is definitely an older career next year, heading into the handicap division to solidify what he has shown so far, which has been pretty good. Also yesterday, the Pumpkin Pie, $150,000 up for grabs for sprinters going 7 furlongs. I liked Weigh the Risks. That one was going out for Chad and Klarovich. 9-5 on the morning line, went off at 6-5. But was coming out of a win up at Saratoga. Now, the concern was the layoff. The win at Saratoga was July 23rd. So it had been on the sidelines a little bit. But Chad typically can have them ready off of layoffs like that. So Chad and Klarovich with a horse that had shown some ability and fairly recent ability. 4 wins and 11 starts in a couple seconds coming in. I put that one on top, and it does wind up to be Weigh the Risks, getting it done. The number 8 over number 7, Patricia Ann, who was going out for Carlos Martin off a decent second in the Gallant Bloom. Nick Style was a little bit interesting in here, as well as the second choice. The 1 will wind up running third. You can see making a nice run there up the rail, but then kind of falters a little bit and gets caught for third by Scalable. But a length and a quarter, the chart margin on the favorite, Weigh the Risks. Manny Franco on board for Chad and Klarovich, who had a very good day overall. But Weigh the Risks now 5 wins in 12 career starts. And again, nice victory yesterday in the Pumpkin Pie. Also on the card yesterday, the Hill Prince. It's that subdivision I like quite a bit of the 3-year-olds on the turf. And I said when we were looking at this race during the afternoon yesterday, I said, I'm not really sure we have anybody top of the division, but there are some that could move into contention potentially, a little bit lightly raced. One of those was one I liked on top, Mayor of Midnight, Chad Brown running with only 5 career starts. That one kind of disappoints, running 6th. That was my top pick. One I didn't use, but I knew I probably was kicking myself. I have some check marks on the page next to this. Number 9, Tiz Dashing, and that's going to be the winner in here under Javier Castellano with a little bit of a stretch run. And Tiz Dashing, Barclay Tag, and Saratoga getting it done with a Son of Tis the Law. And again, number 9, you can see here, just kind of grinding it out, pulls away and winds up just getting it by a neck over Noble Confessor, who, again, kind of comes back a little bit late to get up there for that loss by just a neck. But I don't know whether in the last 100 yards you were worrying about Tiz Dashing. Nice performance and a nice runner for the Saratoga folks. That was win number 2 in start number 9 with the 2nd and 3/3. As I say, Castellano on board for Barclay Tag. And you wound up with a nice $17 and change there. As I say, I looked at that one and kind of kicked myself after the race. Stars and Strides for Belmont was the favorite at 4-5 and wound up 8th in there. I had that one right underneath Mayor of Midnight. So the two that I found interesting were not viable in there. And again, kicked myself a little bit on Tiz Dashing with the nice victory again for the Saratoga folks. And speaking of the Saratoga folks, there'll be a lot of buzz, I'm sure, about Tiz Dashing coming up on Wednesday evening right here at the Clubhouse Racebook. It's going to be the Saratoga Stable meet and greet. That'll be 5:30 this coming Wednesday. We'd love to have you down here. We'd love to get a nice crowd, good buzz in the room, and again, talk a little bit about that win in the stake yesterday at Aqueduct. But they also have a couple of yearlings they're offering up to new partners. If you'd like to maybe explore that, you can do that. If you'd like questions answered on partnerships in general, you can get that done as well. Jack Knowlton, Rachel Dunn from Saratoga will be in the house right here at the Clubhouse Racebook. There'll be some food and drink. We would love to have you stop on by. That's this coming Wednesday, 5:30 to 7:30, right here, Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Again, a nice way to lead into the meet and greet with a stakes victory. An 87 buyer for Tiz Dashing yesterday in the stake down at Aqueduct. A couple more stakes on the card yesterday at Aqueduct. Race number 9 was the Mother Goose Grade 2 event, $300,000 up for grabs. And again, in a division that is a little bit undefined this year, I think. Nitrogen, certainly, with what she's done, probably is looking pretty good. But I don't know whether anybody's jumped out. We certainly, if you're going by the numbers have been a little light overall. So this was a fun field in the Mother Goose, no doubt about it. But I don't know whether you were looking at any of these as potential champs. Drexel Hill ran second in the Kentucky Oaks and then had a little bit of a ding and went to the sidelines after that. So this was the comebacker for a horse that probably was early in the season in the conversation. Had won the Busher at Aqueduct just before the second in the Kentucky Oaks. Now, coming back off of that layoff, that horse took a lot of action as wound up actually the 4th choice. I was thinking was the 3rd choice in there. And I say a lot of action, relatively speaking, because again, there was nobody in here absolutely jumping off the page. I like Fully Subscribed, Chad and Klarovich runner, very lightly raced, maybe with a future as we move into the Philly and Mayor division next year, because this one came in with only 3 starts, a win, a second, and a third, however. And went off as the favorite at 7-2. So a very lukewarm favorite again. And Drexel Hill was 4-1 or 9-2. 9-2 in here, 4-1 on Lemon Zest, and there was a 7-2 shot being myself. But as I say, I like Fully Subscribed. Only the 4th career start. Nice victory here for Chad and Klarovich on what was a big day for them. Dylan Davis on board. Chart margin is going to be 4.5. Drexel Hill, again, that horse that ran second in the Kentucky Oaks, Drexel Hill, the number 9, winds up holding on to second by a neck over Lemon Zest, who was a neck ahead of. So there she was for 4th. But it was there was no doubt about the winner. And again, this is a horse with only 3 starts coming in now, 4 starts, a couple of wins, a second and a third. That was the stakes debut. And it was, as I say, a very nice day for Chad and Klarovich. 4 wins on Saturday. They win the Mother Goose with Fully Subscribed. They win the pumpkin pie with weigh the risks, and they win a couple of allowance races as well. So as an owner, you rack up 4 in a day. That's pretty good. Came out of this race, the follow-up article said likely we'll be waiting till next spring for the next start for this one. But as I say, in a 3-year-old filly division, it's too late in the year to really make any noise with a horse like this. There aren't the spots to do that. And as I say, nitrogen with grade 1s on the dirt and on the turf, and the nice win the nice second the other day in the Breeders' Cup, maybe in a good spot there. But Philly Freedom certainly one to watch next year as a 4-year-old in the filly and mare division when they come back. And finally, down. Oh, and the fully subscribed, a very solid 91 buyer, and I'm guessing that had to be the lifetime. Yeah, there was a nice progression: 73, 77, 88, and 91 yesterday for fully subscribed. And finally, on the stakes schedule yesterday, it was the Long Island fillies and mares going 1 mile 3/8 on the grass. I like Beach Bomb, who's going to wind up third in here as the favorite. I like that one. The betting public liked that one. Beach Bomb, again, is the number 3 as the favorite. Alluring Angel gets away at a little bit of a price. I had that one down in the 3rd spot. Alluring Angel is the number 7, and you can see here it just takes the lead and does not took the lead throughout and kind of drifts out a little bit in the stretch. But, boy, there's really no threat. The chart margin winds up just over a length. No show, Sammy Joe in the 2nd spot. The 1 Beach Bomb ran 3rd as, again, the 8-5 favorite in there. This is kind of an interesting story. Alluring Angel, owned by Larry Goldschman, trained by Bill Mott. But they had this horse in the recent Fasig-Tipton Horses of Racing Age sale, and they pulled the horse out and decided to run here. They get a nice victory. And now they're potentially add this one to a broodmare ban. Alluring Angel added the blinkers for the last start, which was the Weah, and that was a nice improved 3rd place finish off of some races just before that were a little bit disappointing maybe. So runs well with the blinkers on, 2 back in the Weah, and then comes back yesterday, the blinkers still on, and gets the nice victory. And again, got ignored a little bit. I thought the horse was playable. Kendrick Carmouche is riding well. He was on board, $17 and change for Alluring Angel in there. And I will brought up Kendrick. I will mention, well, first off, it was the last race of the day and kind of redemption for both Kendrick and Bill Mott. Bill Mott came into this race 0 for 6 on the day, 0 for 4 in stakes, and they weren't hitting the board. So it was a nice way to wind up the day. And then Kendrick was 0 for 7. And that included a spill early on. He was unseated. Unfortunately, I said yesterday, both jockeys, it was Kendrick and Ben Curtis, walked off. Kendrick came back to ride and win a stake. Unfortunately, Kendrick's horse, Sweet Rhythm, was euthanized. The other horse was collared by an outrider. So hopefully that horse is okay. But Kendrick was okay, came back and rode the next race, and again had a stakes winner. Ben Curtis, I haven't heard a follow-up, but we saw video of him right after the race walking off the track. But he did go to the hospital. He complained of some leg pain. I haven't heard of a follow-up on that one. But I also, as we were in here yesterday, Travis Stone said, the so-and-so lost their jockey in one of the early races, 3rd or the 4th maybe. And I said I was going to try to find out because I wasn't sure what horse, and I couldn't see I didn't find anything yesterday, but it was last night or this morning, Keith Asmussen tweeted out. He was the one who fell, and I think his horse was fine. I think his horse ran off as well and was collared by the outriders. But he went to the hospital and had a fracture of the pelvis maybe, which undisplaced. So hopefully sooner rather than later, but he said for the foreseeable future, he won't be riding. So Keith Asmussen did wind up with a little bit of a ding yesterday. So wish the best for him, certainly going forward. But as I said yesterday when we were on, I tried to get the follow-up there because I wasn't sure when the race was run. Travis said, jockeyless horse out there. I wasn't sure and went back and was kind of trying to look and see and couldn't find anything on social media. But again, I think it was last night Keith Asmussen himself tweeted out what the situation was. So he'll be on the sidelines for a little bit. We hope back sooner rather than later. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll take a look at some more stakes action, including Churchill. And there was a couple of nice stakes up at Woodbine as well. All of that when Racing Across America continues. Stay tuned.
The 2025 Global Symposium on Racing. It's the premier networking event of the year. Connect with the who's who of racing. Collaborate face-to-face with key decision makers. Be a part of the international conversation. Discover the latest technology and innovation. Join us December 8th through 10th. Register at racingsymposium.com.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. You are watching Racing Across America Sunday morning with Seth Merrow, and you're watching here on OTB TV. Don't forget, this afternoon we'll be taking a look at a little Aqueduct and Churchill action. And Aqueduct today, 12:10 post time. As I said, they're going to be bouncing around the next couple of months with the daylight savings and how many races they're trying to put in the mix. But as I said, you can go to you print up the PPs, the post times are right there. But you can also look ahead if you pull up the calendar on the NYRA website. The post times for every racing day are there as well. But it's 12:10 today with a look at Aqueduct and Churchill. And we looked at the same tracks yesterday, including some stakes action at Churchill Downs. The Dream Supreme yesterday scratched down to a field of 6. It was originally 10 scheduled, but competitive field of 6 in there. The overwhelming favorite at 1-2 was Our Disaster. I liked Our Disaster. It was coming in with a win streak, win up at Saratoga, and had won the Gallant Balloon up at Belmont and Aqueduct in the last start. Jose Ortiz on board for Safi Joseph. Logical. 9-5 on the morning line, got hammered down, as I say, to 1-2. But that one gets headed by Hilarito, who was very playable in her own right. David Jacobson trainee came in 7 starts, 5 wins in a couple of seconds. So that one was certainly live. Hilarito here, the number 4, got the lead in the stretch. Our Disaster, the number 7, is coming late, but I'm not sure. I mean, I guess here you think maybe can go by, but Hilarito is looking pretty good and does hold on. There by chart margin winds up to be ahead. Our Disaster ran well. It was a nice run to get there by a short margin, just coming up a little short, but Hilarito had the jump in the stretch. Tyler Gaffleone on board that one for trainer David Jacobson. And again, an interesting, fairly lightly raced 5-year-old with now only 8 starts, but 6 wins in a couple seconds. So Hilarito, a nice performance yesterday down at Churchill. And also at Churchill yesterday, it was the River City Grade 3 event on turf, $300,000 up for grabs, and a field of 11 in here. So a nice full field, nice betting event. For me, I liked the number 9, Laganos. That one kind of disappoints disappoints me, running a dead heat third at 7-1. So I got the value I wanted. But underneath, a horse that I thought was playable, Brian Lynch trainee, that over the career has been very productive, Wolfie's Dynaghost. Brian Lynch, new in the Brian Lynch barn. Luis Saez on board. Wolfie's Dynaghost was 10-1 on the morning line with a solid record of 12 wins and 30 starts, and was coming out of a win at Colonial. That one takes them all the way around. Wolfie's Dynaghost, as I say, escaped at 12-1 in here as what I thought was very, very playable. Taking Candy to number 12, who I also had down at the bottom of my mix. Cherie DeVoe runner runs second at 12-1. Mercanti third at 20-1. And the horse I like, Laganos, at 7-1, runs fourth. Chasing the Crown was the 2-1 favorite. That one wound up seventh. But again, very playable. Wolfie's Dynaghost, nice 7-year-old runner, now 13 wins and 31 career starts, well over $1 million in the bank. And again, the morning line seemed a little generous. It was coming out of a 1-9 victory at Colonial. Just had 1, 2 of 4 this year so far, including the latest victory. And again, moves into the Brian Lynch barn and gets it done. And it was kind of interesting. I think it was Marcus Hirsch who did the follow-up article in the Racing Form, and he noted Wolfie's Dynaghost won the career debut just about 5 years ago on November 14th, 2020, wins the career debut, and then comes back yesterday as a 7-year-old and looks pretty good getting it done. Brian Lynch said headed to Florida for a winter campaign now. And again, Wolfie's Dynaghost, those are the kind you like to see, the lunch pail workhorse kind of stakes performers that just keep plugging away as a 7-year-old gelding, $1 million in the bank, winning well over a third of the starts. So another nice victory for that one down at Churchill yesterday. And there were a couple of races at Woodbine. I did note when we were in here yesterday doing the afternoon show, you would want to take a look at the Bessarabian, as it was not career finale, but perhaps not career finale, but it was the final start up at Woodbine for Caitlin Her Greatness, who was a winner last year of the King's Plate and had a productive career. Certainly, Caitlin Her Greatness, again, the connections, it said last start at Woodbine. They may start another start at Turfway before, heading off to the breeding shed. So there might be another start for Caitlin Her Greatness. I didn't hear a follow-up on that. But beyond that, the race was interesting because Caitlin Her Greatness was in there. But Miguel Clement had a couple of live runners there. Bill Mott was coming to town with one. Jeremiah Engelhardt, Tricky Temper, nice little New York bred in the mix as well. The favorite was number 12, Caitlin Her Greatness, at 2-1, but it will be Pondering coming up late, kind of spoiling the final Woodbine start for Caitlin Her Greatness. And this one came in from out of town for Brendan Walsh. Had run third in the Franklin at Keeneland in the most recent start, and gets it done here, looking pretty good. Just edges by Caitlin Her Greatness. Chart margin 3/4 of a length. Love Severe, the horse I like, number 1, ran third. That was a Miguel Clement runner who was 9-2 as the third choice in there. So again, it was a nice full field in there. Field of 14 ran. And as is typical in those kind of races, you get a 12-1. And again, kind of a very playable 12-1 for Brendan Walsh coming in. Declan Cannon on board, coming in from out of town. And $27 on top. Caitlin Her Greatness, the favorite, runs second. And you had an exacta that was just under $140. And that's the beauty of a nice full field in there, with the favorite runs second. And again, it was a long shot on top, no doubt about it. But it was a nice exacta there in a nice race with, again, a nice full field from connections that we're all familiar with, and with the King's Plate winner in there, also added some intrigue. And there was a similar situation in the next race on the card, the Autumn Stakes, where the 2023 King's Plate winner was in there, Paramount Prince. That one disappoints a little bit for Marquesi. Paramount Prince went off at 5-1 and wound up 9th. The favorite was Fantastic again at 3-1, who wound up 10th. So again, there were some prices getting it done in the autumn with a field of 11. So again, another nice stakes race, another nice full field. But it will be number 3, Dresden Row, getting it done. Had run third in allowance last time. A couple of starts back in the Durham Cup had just missed. So there was some ability shown. Gets away at $15 and change price. Jokestar runs second. Cameo Performance runs third. So again, you had plenty of big prices there. In that race, you had a $300 exacta. So there were some opportunities to be had, no question about it. And I also had the results of, right here. The results of the two, the races we talked about yesterday at Laurel. I didn't call for the replays, but I did want to just follow up on that because we talked yesterday with John Piasek about the two kind of fun 2-year-old stakes races. The Smart Halo was for the 2-year-old fillies. I liked Holland Drive coming in from out of town for Will Walden. Got away at 8-1 off a debut victory at a short price. And again, that Will Walden elected to come in, but ran 5th in the field of 5. So offered up not a whole lot of anything. It's Doc's Miracle that got it done in there at 9-2. Prosecco Rita looked like a player, ran second. Just Filtered was the horse that I liked on top. We showed the replay of Holland Drive yesterday. I had that one in my mix, but Just Filtered was one I liked, and John Piasek liked that one as well. Went off as the favorite, wound up third. But again, Doc's Miracle, the most experienced horse, and experience counts. 7 starts, a win and 3 seconds. The most recent start was a second in the Maryland Millions Lassie, and follows it up with a nice win yesterday in the Smart Halo. So Doc's Miracle, maybe one to keep our eyes on going forward. Again, in a 2-year-old stake, these end of the season 2-year-old stakes down in Maryland, as I said yesterday, always a lot of fun. Also for the boys, it was the James Lewis. And John liked Balboa, and I talked a little bit about Balboa yesterday. Balboa had started the career, first 4 starts of the career, Bob Baffert out in Southern California, Starlight Racing and Company, Madicat. So prominent owners and prominent connections with Bob Baffert. Had broken the maiden in the second career start, then followed up in the Del Mar Futurity, a Grade 1 event, and the Grade 1 American Pharoah, but had run 5th in both of those. So they elect to let's ship over and see what Brittany can do with the horse. And it was Balboa getting it done yesterday. Pretty convincingly, chart margin over 5 lengths, went off as the favorite. So that one may be an interesting to watch. 2-year-old, and now in the Brittany Russell stable. And we'll see what happens with that one. I don't, I'm not sure if it'll stick there, go back out to Southern California, but off the victory yesterday, obviously hasn't quite lived up to what they expected, particularly with the $675,000 purchase price, but did show a little bit of talent yesterday in a nice full field down at Laurel. So again, the 2-year-old stakes at Laurel produced a couple of horses maybe to watch going, and some other horses that were back in the field are still lightly raced and have potential as well. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here and send it to a commercial. But when we come back, it's our man Anthony Propst taking a look at the upcoming action over the next couple of days in the NFL with league lockdown. So stay tuned for that. I'll be back again, 12:10 post time for Aqueduct. I'll take a look at Aqueduct and Churchill today, a little bit later on OTB Live. Should be fun. So stay tuned for all of it right after this break, wrapping up Racing Across America. But again, when we come back, league lockdown. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards Program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
The 2025 Global Symposium on Racing. It's the premier networking event of the year. Connect with the who's who of racing. Collaborate face-to-face with key decision makers. Be a part of the international conversation. Discover the latest technology and innovation. Join us December 8th through 10th. Register at racingsymposium.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to League Lockdown, brought to you by Capital OTB. I'm your host, Anthony Propst, and we're going to be previewing every game today here on the Sunday card. First off, we're going to look back at that underwhelming display from Thursday Night Football between the Broncos and the Raiders in a narrowly squeaked out 10-7 win by Bo Nix and the Broncos. And I'm going to be honest, I fell asleep during that one. That game was probably one of the worst Thursday night games I've personally seen, and it just so low scoring, and it depends on how you want to look at things. Geno Smith and the Raiders actually got the early lead, but that was about it. And then one tying touchdown and a field goal later. So I don't know how you want to look at it. You want to look at it as both offenses played equally bad or both defenses played equally good. I'm going to leave that one up to you to determine. But before we look at the 1 o'clock slot, we're back with Sunday morning football over across the pond, but this time we're over in Berlin. Hopefully everybody and all those who are over there are having a nice bratwurst or two. You got the Colts and the Falcons going on, and after the unfortunately, disappointingly sad loss to the Steelers last week, Colts should be hopefully making up for it because they should be about halfway through the third quarter-ish about this time. So we should expect a result maybe within the next hour of how that one ends up turning out. But I have a feeling it'll go in an interesting direction. But we got to look at the 1 o'clock slot here, and we're going to start with the Browns and the Jets. And allow me to go on a little rant here for a second, because the Browns and the Jets, Tuesday this week was the trade deadline. So all trades involved. And New York, we need to have a talk about that front office. You let go. You are now unofficially not saucy anymore, because both you let go of Sauce Gardner to the Colts and you let Quinnen Williams go to the Cowboys for 4 first and second round picks. I don't know where in the Blue Blazes anyone said that was a good idea. Who said, yes, let's get rid of our top corner and our top defensive tackle for some picks? I understand where it comes into you want to build a team, build a brand. You already are kind of lackluster on offense when it comes to having Justin Fields as your QB. So the thing to think about and what you want to look at is the future. You want to rebuild the team. Well, it's you're not really rebuilding the team when you basically have to actually start over from scratch. Like, that was the nail in the coffin. That was the final straw. So we already know New York is looking ahead to next year and the year after. That we expect that to happen. But Cleveland, good luck. Now, next game we got going on, we got the Saints and the Panthers, the Ravens and the Vikings. We got the Patriots and the Bucks, and for you Bucks fans, unfortunately, Bucky Irvin was ruled out on Friday evening. He's out with a foot/ankle injury. It shouldn't be too bad, but he's not going to be playing this weekend, unfortunately. And the Bills and Dolphins, and if you're a Bills fan, it's going to be a cookout because we know how James Cook likes to play. We know how Josh Allen is, so I expect big things from that. And then they're playing against the Dolphins. It's the Dolphins. Now you got the Giants and the Bears, the Jags and the Texans, and interesting trade here from, again, the trade deadline, which was on Tuesday. They ended up getting Jacoby Myers from Vegas. Now, I understand what Travis Hunter, Travis Hunter is on the Jags. Why was I thinking he's not on the Chiefs? I'm thinking of Pacheco and Rashee Rice, who were the Chiefs that had the injuries and whatnot. No. Travis Hunter, yes, being out from the Jags, you picked up Jacoby Myers. I'm going to be honest, I think that is actually a really decent trade and a really good pickup. So big ups on Jacksonville for that. Now moving to the 4 o'clock spot, you got the Cardinals and the Seahawks, the Lions and the Commanders, and I'm actually wearing his jersey right now, Jaden Daniels. Last week we saw him go down with a nasty elbow injury, but there has been an update. He ended up actually only dislocating said elbow. No serious ligament or any ischium damage. It wasn't as bad as we anticipated, so there's no going to be major surgery required. So it's going to be week to week. He's going to be sitting on IR, probably sitting around till we're now on week 10, probably maybe week 16, right at the end of the year. I personally want to project, but I'm no medical professional, so take what I say with a grain of salt here. But Lions, you should have it good because Terry McLaurin is still out as well. So top QB1 and top receiver are both down. And then Rams and 49ers, you also have the 4 o'clock spot. And guess who's back? Puka Nacua has been taken off IR. He was taken off on Saturday. So, yes, he is set to play today on Sunday at the 4 o'clock spot. And Sunday Night Football, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, my two frontrunners for QBs of the season have been both Mr. Indiana, Danny Dimes Jones, and Justin Herbert. And even though Herbert's been a little fluctuating lately, I think he's going to take it there, Sunday Night Football. And then Monday night action. Monday night, we'll never forget Monday night action. You've got the Eagles and the Packers. Now, this is an interesting one because, again, I've been saying it the past few weeks. The Eagles they haven't been playing high level, but they've still managed to find ways to win. Last week was pretty good, I won't lie. And same with the Packers. They, again, little inconsistent, but they're finding ways to win. So I think Monday is going to definitely be a great game. We do have a few bigger injuries to talk about than the few that I had mentioned. Kyler Murray from the Cardinals, he was placed on IR on Wednesday with a foot injury. He'll miss at least a minimum of 4 games. So we'll see how that one goes. And then Bills fans, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Your linebacker, Shaq Thompson, on Friday was ruled out with a hamstring injury. And that's been the injury that has been plaguing the entire league all year. Lamar Jackson went down with one. About 3-4 other people from other teams went down with one. And with him averaging at least 3 solo tackles in the last 5 games, I think that's going to definitely be detrimental to the Bills' secondary. And you look at how Achane from Miami was averaging at least 50-plus yards for 12 carries all year. It's going to put more pressure on Josh Allen and the offense if the Bills' secondary, if the defensive line can't get it done, and then it's definitely going to put a lot of pressure on their secondary. So we're going to have to see how that injury holds out for the Bills. But we got 2 games of the weekend. 2 games of the weekend. Now, I'm going to say it right now. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past, if they've had a few drought years and it's been a little bit of a slump. The Patriots and the Bucks. And I say this because the second coming of Tom Brady with the Patriots now lies in Drake May. Because the Patriots have been on a 6-game tear through the league. And yes, they have been some, how people want to call it, low average teams, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. 6-game tear for them. So with the Bucks bouncing off a big win over the Saints last week, these 2 first-place teams they're at the top. They're the 2 teams in the top of their divisions. So someone's looking to make a major upset here. And again, my hot take, like I said, Drake May is the second coming of Tom Brady, and the Patriots might be looking at an upward incline right now, and they might be making it back to fame. And then my second one is the Ravens and the Vikings. Now, I say this because not only, I'll be biased, I am a Ravens fan. Y'all, everybody and their mother should know that I am a Ravens fan. But this one is because with the Ravens coming out hot, 2 games after having a month loss and a bye week, 2 games hot, 2 back-to-back upsets, now firing on all cylinders. Everybody's healthy, everybody's hot, and they're looking to keep up that momentum. Especially with the acquisition of outside linebacker Draymond Jones from the Titans, we're beefing up that pass defense. And with the way now J.J. McCarthy being back after being down and out from the middle of week 2 up and then upsetting the Lions last week, who Baltimore unfortunately did lose to, and then the way Justin Jefferson gets down, it's gonna be a massive game. Those are the 2 games of the weekend. You got both in the 1 o'clock position, Baltimore and Minnesota, New England, and the Bucks. But if you want to watch all that action, you want to come see everything, come down here, watch all the football action, all the NFL Sunday horse racing as well action, right here at our food vendor, Black Bear, our partner. Watch the horses, watch the football, get some great food. I always say it, the food at Black Bear is amazing. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring this episode of League Lockdown to a close. I will see you all next week, and don't forget to stay locked in.
Scratch the 9, 10, 11, 12 in race 4. Race 5, start a late pick 5. Scratch the 2, you're looking good. Rider change on the 7. Make the jockey Jamie Rodriguez. Race 6, start a late pick 4. The 4 is +1. Scratch the 11, Majestic Return. Today's 7th, no changes. Race 8, rider change. On the 4, make the jockey Jorge Pineo. In today's 8th race, scratch the 7, Devil of Ramadi. Scratch the 10, Bulldoze. Scratch the 7 and 10 in race 8.